Superman, Clark Kent. Superman, real name Clark Kent, born Kal-El, is one of the last children of Krypton, sent as the dying planet's last hope to Earth, where he grew to become its kind, noble protector. Using his flight, enhanced strength, heat vision, and various other powers, he protects the planet and the universe from powerful threats, all while inspiring hope into others. He is also a founding member of the Justice League, and the father of Jon Kent, the second Superman. Current origin. Kal-El was born on Krypton to Jor-El and Lara. After Jor-El discovered that the planet was doomed to destruction, he attempted to escape with his family into the Phantom Zone but was repelled by the criminals who had already been imprisoned there. With no other choice, he and Lara resigned themselves to their fates, placing their son in a prototype evacuation rocket, activating its brainiac intelligence, and sending it to a planet with a yellow sun, Earth. The rocket landed in Smallville, Kansas, where the Kryptonian baby was discovered by Jonathan and Martha Kent, who had just learned that they could not have children of their own. Seeing this alien orphan as their chance, they gathered him up and took him home, leaving a stillborn calf in his place in the hopes of throwing the government off their trail. They raised him as Clark Kent, teaching him their values. Eventually, Jonathan revealed Clark's true parentage to him, but left it to him to decide what it would mean to him. On the night of his prom, however, because Clark had no superhero role models to make him feel comfortable becoming a hero, Clark was unable to save his adopted parents from dying in a car accident. After their funerals, Clark sold Kent Farm to a neighbor and moved to Metropolis to become a journalist. Upon moving to Metropolis, Clark took a job at the Daily Star and prepared himself to act as a vigilante at the age of 22, by having several shirts printed with the S symbol that had come to Earth with him emblazoned on them. His attempt to rescue a young boy caused him to reveal himself before he expected to, and the city came to know of the superhuman man. Within 6 months, Clark had fully revealed himself and was targeting corrupt businessman Glenn Morgan when General Sam Lane and Lex Luthor took an interest in him. They staged several emergencies to trap him, finally succeeding with a train crash that endangered the general's own daughter Lois. In collaboration with the military, Luthor tortured Superman while his Kryptonian rocket was studied. Upon his escape, Superman sealed his birth rocket away for protection but was too late to prevent its Kryptonian signal from alerting the Collector of Worlds to its location, and unaware that Luthor was complicit in making that happen. After the district of New Troy had been secretly shrunken down and abducted by the Collector of Worlds, Superman made a giant leap from Metropolis into outer space, catching hold of the retreating spaceship. The Collector tried to force Superman to choose between the lives of those in the city of Kandor and of New Troy, but he refused to choose, instead donning a Kryptonian suit of armor from one of the bottles and promising to protect both. Defeating the Collector and returning New Troy to its original place, Superman then came out officially to the people of Metropolis as an alien and promised to remain on the side of good. Current origin. Kal-El, the last son of Krypton, was born to scientists Jor-El and Lara Lorvan shortly before the destruction of their doomed world. Aware of their planet's impending fate, they conducted extensive, but remote, research on habitable worlds within range and constructed a rocket so that their son might survive. As an infant, he was introduced to his paternal cousin Kara Zor-El. In the end, they chose Earth, and managed to launch their son into space mere moments before the destruction of Krypton. Kal's rocket landed in Smallville, Kansas, where he was discovered by Jonathan and Martha Kentucky. He was given the name Clark Kent and adopted as their son. Childhood. When Clark began his schooling, Martha and Jonathan were at first concerned that he wouldn't fit in with his classmates, a worry that the young Clark shared. Asking his father for advice, Jonathan simply tells Clark to tell jokes, and if he gets people to laugh, they'll be his friends. Clark's first day isn't as difficult as he expects, and he ends up making many friends at school, until he notices a girl, Samantha, sitting alone in the playground, ostracized for being different. Clark decided that he wants to befriend the girl, but feared that if he did, he'd lose all the friends he'd made up to that point. Consulting with his parents, they advise him to befriend the girl regardless of his classmates' opinions. He followed through, and his example inspired others in his class to befriend Samantha. Martha's cancer. During Clark's childhood, Martha was diagnosed with cancer, and underwent chemotherapy for the affliction. Clark was not told until well into her treatment, when Clark struggled with a new student attending the school, Caleb Withers. Caleb was something of a bully, with misplaced aggression spurred on by his abusive father. Clark struggled with the urge not to respond to Caleb's behavior in kind, something his mother talked him out of, telling him that it was better to help people find the good within themselves rather than correct their behavior by force. As they were leaving, Caleb kicked a soccer ball into Martha's head, knocking her down and inadvertently removing her wig, revealing to Clark her hair loss. Later that evening, he snuck over to Caleb's house, with the intent to destroy Caleb's bicycle in retribution, only to discover Caleb's drunk father abusing him. As Caleb's father attempted to drive off, he nearly drove into oncoming traffic, with Clark saving his life. He then brought the unconscious man to the local clinic, leaving him there anonymously. Afterward, Clark attempted to cut off his own hair in solidarity with his mother, only to discover that his invulnerability made that impossible at the time. Later, Clark was able to reach Caleb, that he wasn't his father, and that he didn't have to be him. Caleb eventually apologized to Martha, revealing that he'd cut his own hair in solidarity with Martha as part of his apology. He left to live with his aunt in Metropolis, and one day would grow to run a community center for at-risk youth. Childhood friends. Growing up in Smallville, Clark found himself becoming best friends with Lana Lang and Pete Ross. The trio were inseparable and did everything together, including hiding from the young Lex Luthor. The first time Clark flew was on instinct. A tornado hit Smallville, and he acted without thinking in order to save Lana Lang's life. Krypto the Superdog. One evening, during a family dinner, Clark's enhanced senses noticed an object crashing from space a few miles away. He immediately set off to find it with super speed, with his parents warning him not to touch it until they arrived. Later, all three converged on the object, a Kryptonian spacepod lodged into a dry creek bed. Clark immediately recognized it as resembling the pod he arrived in, and, reaching out to it, found that it recognized him in turn. It opened, revealing a small dog. The dog playfully jumped on Clark and began to display the same Kryptonian power set that Clark possessed. Clark quickly sped off to play with the dog, easily bonding with it. As he did, a holographic recording of his birth father, Jor-El, activates, revealing to his parents that the dog was a test subject for a prototype of the pod that eventually would bring Clark to Earth. The recording also revealed the dog's name, given to him by the infant Kal-El, Krypto. Approving of how happy Krypto made Clark, Jonathan and Martha allowed him to keep and raise the dog. Teenage years. One particular autumn during Clark's teenage years, the Kent farm suffered a bad harvest. In spite of this, Jonathan Kent decided to share what little they could spare with their neighbors, who had endured worse. The entire community helped each other out, surprising Clark, who had heard that some people disliked each other, and Jonathan explained that people ultimately want to be good, they just need an example to bring out the best side of themselves. Jonathan tells Clark to be that example. In a previous iteration of history, on the night of his senior prom, because his adoptive parents discouraged Clark from becoming a superhero for fear what it could do to him, he failed to save Jonathan and Martha from dying in a car accident. This was not a natural occurrence, it was arranged by the fifth-dimensional demon VYNDKTVX as part of a multi-pronged attack on Clark at many points across the timeline. However, when the Justice Society of America was restored to its proper place in the timeline, they set a good example for superheroes to come in the future. With role models to look up to and no reason to stay in hiding, on the night of his senior prom, Clark saved his adoptive parents from dying in a car accident. Early career. As an adult, Clark moved to Metropolis, taking a job as a reporter at the Daily Planet where he met Lois Lane. On his first day, Clark saved Lois Lane's life during a helicopter crash, earning the name Superman. Among the first villains he ever faced was the Ultra-Humanite, who developed a lifelong enmity towards him. He also quickly made an enemy of his childhood bully, now grown, Lex Luthor. During the Zero Year, Clark attempted to personally disperse Hurricane Renee as it bore down on the coastline, still unsure of the upper limits of his powers. His attempt to divert the hurricane was unsuccessful, but he did succeed in rescuing the tanker Jean-Marie, which had at the time been carrying his childhood friend, Lana Lang, as its engineer. Superman and Batman met for the first time while Clark was investigating a series of murders in Wayne Enterprises. The two new heroes were unexpectedly whisked to a parallel reality by Ko the Trickster, where they met older and more experienced versions of themselves. When they were returned back to their Earth, however, Ko wiped their memories of the whole interaction. At some point, some of Superman's DNA was collected by the Agenda, Project Cadmus, and Lex Luthor, resulting in multiple clones, including Superboy and Bizarro. Early on in his career, before the founding of the Justice League, Clark was displaced into the early 1960s during an unknown incident. While there, he operated in secret, though not secret enough that he wasn't known to the President of the United States. He met with the President, who requested that he, and others like him, come forward and use their collective abilities to make the world a better place. He offered to protect the president in Dallas. Kennedy declined, insisting that Superman assist with a manned flight to the moon. Shortly afterwards, the president was assassinated while riding in his motorcade in Dallas. Eventually Superman was able to return to his own time. When he returned, he did his best to fulfill his promise to the doomed president. Powers and abilities. Powers. Kryptonian physiology. Under the effects of a yellow sun, Superman possesses the same potential powers as an average Kryptonian. These include solar energy absorption. Under optimal conditions, this is the main source of Superman's superpowers as they are contingent upon exposure to solar radiation from a yellow sun star system. His biological makeup includes a number of organs which lack analogues in humans and whose functions are unknown. It is believed that between one or more of these and his biocellular matrix, yellow, solar energy is stored for later use. This allows for the use of these powers to fade when yellow solar radiation is not available instead of immediate failure. Cosmic energy absorption. Kal's solar receptors can also absorb solar energy from cosmic energy, such as when he absorbed energy from Starman, gained from the totality itself. So much that he felt like he could crack the Earth in half with a footstep if he wasn't careful. He could also absorb solar energy from Genesis, a mysterious material found on Warworld, and use it to fuel his powers as a substitute for yellow sunlight. Superhuman strength. Superman's strength is augmented by yellow solar radiation interacting with the greater-than-human density, resilience, and biological efficiency of his musculature. His strength is more an act of conscious will on energy fields than actual physical strength. It is this act of conscious will that enables him to perform physical feats that are beyond the mere application force, such as moving a mountain top without said rock crumbling under its own mass. Even when infected with the anti-life that was slowly killing him, Clark was strong enough to knock out a restrained Barbados, who killed the World Forger, with just a punch. When Superman fought against Rogal-Zar inside the Phantom Zone, their fight made the realm tremble and shake, under the weight of their battle. Shock-wave projection. Superman is strong enough to create powerful sonic booms with just the clap of his hands. These sonic claps are powerful enough to be heard across states. Superhuman speed. Superman is able to move at incredible speed by sheer force of will. This extends to his perceptions and allows for feats such as catching bullets in mid-flight as well as covering vast distances in little or no time. Superman was even fast enough to keep up with Wally West on foot, though he is still slower. Clark can move so fast that time slows from his perspective, long enough to have an entire conversation in just a few seconds. Kal's speed is so impressive that he was capable of fighting Darkseid and saved the lives of others simultaneously, which perplexed even Darkseid himself. Molecular acceleration. Superman can vibrate his molecular structure to achieve various effects. Time travel. Using the cosmic treadmill, Superman was able to move through time. By following a tachyon trail using his X-ray vision, Clark can travel freely through time. Vortex creations. Superman can use his speed to manipulate airflow for various purposes. He was able to use his flight speed to funnel a toxic chemical out of the atmosphere and into space. Superhuman agility. Superman's agility, balance, and bodily coordination are enhanced to superhuman levels. This allows him to easily make sharp turns and easily maneuver while flying and moving at superhuman speed. Superhuman reflexes. Superman possesses reflexes far greater than any normal human being. This allows him to easily react to danger and events, and perceive the world in slow motion. His mind is able to process information at such speeds that he can perceive femtoseconds and attoseconds. Superhuman stamina. Superman is able to maintain continuous strenuous physical action for an indefinite period of time. This based on his body converting yellow solar radiation directly to energy, but is limited by physiological and psychological needs to eat, drink and sleep. Superhuman senses. All of Superman's senses are enhanced to superhuman levels, allowing him to perceive the world in far greater detail than the average human. Supervision. Superman's vision processes the entire electromagnetic spectrum as well as allowing vast control over selective perception and focus. This umbrella ability includes the following. Electromagnetic spectrum vision. Superman can see well into most of the electromagnetic spectrum. He can see and identify radio and television signals as well as all other broadcast or transmitted frequencies. Using this ability, he can avoid detection by radar or satellite monitoring methods. This also allows him to see the aura generated by living things. Infrared vision. Superman can see with better acuity in darkness, and to a degree in total darkness. Microscopic vision. this is the ability to see extremely small objects and images down to the atomic level. Telescopic vision, this is the ability to see something at a great distance, without violating the laws of physics. Though limited, the exact extent of the ability is undetermined. In function, it is similar to the zoom lens on a camera. X-ray vision, by focusing his vision, Superman can see through any volume of matter, except lead. He can see things behind a solid, opaque object as if it were not there and can focus this ability to peel back layers of an object, allowing hidden image or inner workings to be observed. Superman's enemies have attempted to use lead to hide things from his vision, mistakenly believing that anything with that material is somehow invisible to him. On the contrary, lead's opaqueness to his X-ray vision makes the material easy to spot with a wide-angle scan and allows Superman to narrow his search to those opaque objects. He can even intensify his X-ray vision to the extent that he could use it at a gamma level to short out a space station's electrical engine. Superhearing, Superman's hearing is sensitive enough to hear any sound at any volume or pitch. With skill and concentration, he can block out ambient sounds to focus on a specific source or frequency. Flight, Superman is able to manipulate graviton particles to defy the forces of gravity and achieve flight. This ranges from hovering to moving in any posture, in any direction. He capable of flying at above supersonic and hypersonic speeds. Heat vision, Superman can, as a conscious act, fire beams of intense heat at a target by looking at it. He can vary the heat and area affected. Super flare, Superman's last resort power that he discovered through his heat vision, was the ability to immediately expel all of his stored solar energy in one gigantic burst of explosive force. This solar flare uses all the stored energy within his cells at once, allowing for an all-out AoE attack. He cannot use it more than once or twice however, as it drains him of all his powers until he can recharge his cells with solar energy. Give or take 24 hours, in that expanse of time, he is rendered virtually human and vulnerable. Luckily for Superman, thanks to the training he received from the Justice League, he learned to keep his flares smaller and more contained, so that it doesn't take as long for his powers to come back. Interstellar travel, Superman is immune to the nature of space and is not inhibited by its lack of gravity. He can travel the reaches of space where no human body could possibly survive without the aid of technology or protection. Invulnerability, due to the interaction of his dense molecular structure and supercharged bioelectric aura, Superman is nigh invulnerable to extreme energy forces. In addition, his extends this protection against toxins and diseases. Longevity, Superman can live longer than regular humans, remaining at his prime as long as he was under the exposure of the yellow sun. Super breath, Superman is able to create hurricane-force winds by exhaling air from his lungs. He can chill the air as it leaves his lungs to freeze targets. He can also reverse the process to pull large volumes of air or vapor into his lungs. Self-sustenance, Superman doesn't need to eat or sleep so long as he has enough solar energy, but is still capable of doing so, and doesn't require oxygen to breathe. Abilities. Genius-level intellect, Superman has shown incredible intelligence and computational abilities, his mind works sharply and with extreme speed relative to Earth humans. Superman's analytical powers enable him to read information directly from machines, and, with careful usage of his heat vision, he can even reprogram machines. Hand-to-hand combat, advanced due to having superpowers all his life and constantly engaging in battle with various foes, Superman has over time become an excellent hand-to-hand fighter utilizing a fighting style that directly complements his superpowers. Superman's combat versatility allows him to adapt to almost any foe and beat them. Additionally, Superman has been trained his father Jon Kent in boxing, and according to Captain Comet his brawling skills are formidable. He was also trained by Wyaska, a former combat instructor of Apocalypse, Wonder Woman in Amazonian combat, bested and regarded as a natural hunter by Moon herself. Clark has received brief training from Wraith on how to use his heat vision for more combative purposes while in the midst of battle, was taught by Krypton how to fight like a war-world gladiator, and even learned some advanced martial arts techniques from Batman. Batman even complimented Clark, by agreeing that he can take care of himself, even without powers. In weakened state, Kal got the upper hand on both Cyborg Superman and the Eradicator, while suffering from blindness. Superman has shown capable of fighting blind while still weakened to an extent, against the Superman Revenge Squad, solo. Even continuing battling blind and weakened against General Zod, for a while. Clark is a very experienced fighter, for he reveals that he has lived multiple different lifetimes/whole lives fighting and failing to defeat the likes of Barbados, when he and Wonder Woman were trapped on a giant tower in Metropolis. Superman has fought the likes of Black Adam to a stalemate. Kal has engaged in a battle with Grekus the Undefeated for days, a being with the perfect genetics and training combined, to be a champion in combat sport with decades worth of fighting experience. Even when pushed into a near-hopeless situation, Clark never gives up and is capable of multitasking, where he can perform both acts of fighting and saving lives at the same time. Clark has even fought Brainiac's program to a draw, that possessed all the collective information and mindsets of all the Justice League's villains, including the combat tactics of himself, Batman, Steel and Batwoman. While depowered, Clark managed to hold his own and defeat the likes of Owlman, Earth 3, Bizarro, Earth 29, and Batman/Bruce Wayne, Earth 42, nearly simultaneously. Also, even after being wounded with kryptonite-based weaponry, he was still able to best his corrupted counterpart, Lord Superman. Superman prefers to end a fight as quick as he can, and he's willing to target his opponent's vulnerable spots to gain a quick victory, if it's possible. More than 3 months on Warworld, Kal-El has fought plenty of battles in the death arena, along with fighting a war against Mongol while powerless. Due to his time there as a Warworld gladiator, Kal was given the title as Unbalna Gal, which means the unblooded sword. Clark has shown such impressive skill, that he's capable of fighting both Mongol and Krylux at the same time. During Dark Crisis, Clark lived in another universe where he and Lois were capable of raising their son Jonathan. During his time in that other universe he has fought many battles against a variety of foes, both by himself at times and alongside his son for years. Boxing, Jiu-Jitsu, Krav Maga, wrestling, stick fighting, swordsmanship. Indomitable will, Superman has shown to have a powerful spirit, free of corruption and temptation. Having been raised by a kindly Kansas farmer and his wife, he was taught to protect life and help others. He is very optimistic and never gives up, even when things look bad. Superman has learned how to place mental inhibitors on his own power so that he doesn't accidentally flex and cause the tectonic plates to shift. To him, they are the barriers that allow him to feel human enough to live a healthy life, and he only ever releases one of them when fighting a particularly powerful opponent or performing a difficult task. Torquasm Vo is a Kryptonian discipline that Superman uses sometimes. It is basically a means of focusing one's mental discipline to help fight adverse effects such as mental domination. It can be used to manipulate someone's mind. Superman used that ability during his fight against the Eradicator. It was used to create an illusion to let Superman enter inside the Eradicator. Torquasm Rao, a heavy-hitting martial art from Krypton, allows him to tap into his instincts and separate himself from his body. Makes him able to prevent others from manipulating his mind and allows him to fight on the astral plane. Intimidation. Investigation. Both as a superhero and as a journalist, Superman is an expert at gathering evidence from all kinds of sources. He's capable of deducing the level of fighting skill that a horde of lizard men had, over the course of a battle, alongside Batman and Wonder Woman. Journalism. Clark is one of the best reporters on the Daily Planet, rivaled only by his wife Lois Lane. He gained a Pulitzer Prize at least in one occasion. Leadership. Superman has proven many times over his ability to command respect and inspire others with his charisma, ardor, and idealism. He often serves as the primus inter pares of the Justice League. Acrobatics. Meditation. Multilingualism. Superman speaks Mandarin Chinese. Weaponry. Qi manipulation. Superman learned the art of Bagua under the instruction of I Ching. He learned how to manipulate his Qi or Qi to help him gain a better control over his powers. Superman recommended to Supergirl that she should go train with I Ching herself, just so that she could regain proper control over her powers, after her fight with the Fatal Five. When going over his lost memories after the merging of the essences of both his pre-Flashpoint and post-Flashpoint selves, he remembered Superman that happened in his past, as a reference to his training. Weaknesses. Kryptonian physiology. Under the effects of a yellow sun, Superman possesses the same potential weaknesses as an average Kryptonian. These include vulnerability to kryptonite, vulnerability to magic, solar energy dependency. Kryptonian abilities will eventually weaken without replenishing their energy reserves with normal, yellow, sun radiation. When exposed to the same red solar radiation as Krypton's red sun Rao, it causes Kryptonians to lose their powers within a large amount of exposure until exposure to yellow sunlight reverses this effect. When exposed to orange solar radiation from a different galaxy, Superman's strength and abilities will drastically diminish, eventually weakening him. The radiation also affects his intellectual capacity and reduces his ability to think. Sensory overload. With his extremely acute senses, Superman can be overtaxed to the point of pain when encountered by extreme external stimuli such as hypersonics, hearing, balance, sight, flashbang. Radiation poisoning. Formerly, Superman was exposed to deadly radiation during his encounter with the aliens from the breach, causing him to rapidly age. He slowed the progression of his condition via regular infusions of rejuvenating magic from the Enchantress, but this was undone by a sorceress working for Mongol. He was eventually cured by Genesis. Power limitation. Formerly, Superman's sickness caused his powers to fade and weaken. While still significantly stronger than a human, he was less powerful than an average healthy Kryptonian until his radiation poisoning was cured. Paraphernalia. Weapons. Yellow Power Ring. Formerly, while a part of the Sinestro Corps, Superman earned a ring for his ability to inspire great fear in others. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.